Welcome everybody to Charlotte Motor Speedway. My name is Josh Hall. This is the Doghouse Racing League Tuesday Night Truck Series here on iRacing, brought to you by Intensity Broadcasting. Looking for an exciting one here tonight. Just 4 races remain in the Doghouse Racing League Series before we crown a champion. And let's take a look at those points coming into tonight. You see Jonathan Jennings still up at the top of the leaderboard. Dominating performance, 7 wins on the season. Justin McMahon, though, still within reach, sitting back in second. Then Adam Gardner. The 3 drivers have really dominated the season. Even though Justin only has 1 win on the season, he's been in the top 10, and you can see that right there in the standings there. 9 of the 12 races that he's run. So very consistent. Same with Adam Gardner. Another one with 9 top 10s. Jonathan Jennings, 10 top 10s. So you can see the cream has risen to the top here. Then Kevin O'Powell, another driver with 10 top 10s. But take a look at those top 5s. 10, 9, 7, 4. So that's why those 3 are up at the top of the leaderboard like they are. Then Steve Gerber sits back in the 5th position. That shows your top 20 in points. You can see where your favorite driver is currently standing. But let's take a look at practice, and so far at the top of the leaderboards is the 91 of Jonathan Jennings. You see him sitting here on pit road, getting ready to go out and get another qualifying practice run underway. Here's Steve Gerber. Gerber currently sits back in the 6th position. Chris Leftwich, your 2nd fastest driver on the speed charts right now. And sitting back in 7th, we see the 96 of Jackson Lomax. Again, his final lap's underway as we got about 25 seconds before qualifying starts. Justin McMahon says, good luck, fellas. Unfortunately, not able to make it tonight. Oh, that's going to shake up the points a little bit, having your 2nd place driver not making it to the race tonight. But hopefully everything's all right, Justin. And glad you could tune in and watch the race at least here and be a part of the action. How about that? Chris Leftwich and Mike Leftwich both currently in the top 5 in the speed chart. Adam Gardner 4th and Christopher Simon in 5th as time expires here in practice and we get ready to get qualifying underway. As you know, 5 minutes to get your 2 laps of qualifying in here in the Doghouse Racing League. See who the first driver is to make their way out onto the racetrack. And it looks like it's going to be the 23 of Chris Schaefer. Getting up the speed off of pit road. See who else is out on the racetrack. We see Mike Leftwich also out on the racetrack. Ricky Williams just coming off pit road. Jonathan Jennings already out on the racetrack, getting ready to get his qualifying attempt underway. As Schaefer now comes across the start-finish line for his first of 2 laps. Charlotte known for speed and smoothness. Although you see the bumps as they make their way through turn 3 right there. There are a couple bumps coming off of turn 3, coming through turns 3 and 4, and just a little bit in turns 1 and 2. You'll see these trucks bounce around just a little bit as they're right down on the apron trying to seal off those trucks and get as much grip around this track as they can. Jennings currently up to the top of the leaderboard. Schaefer currently in 2nd. But a lot of drivers still yet to make their way out onto the racetrack. As Schaefer makes his way off of turn number 4. Down to the start-finish line. And Schaefer's momentarily going to pop up to the top of the leaderboard. Then Mike Leftwich is going to knock him down. Chris Leftwich is going to knock him down as well. And Jonathan Jennings is going to go to the top of the leaderboard. Here comes Bill Gentry off of turn number 4 down across the stripe. Let's see what the 34 machine can do here, and he's going to stay there down in the 13th position. Here's Jeffrey Engel making his way off of turn number 4 and down across the stripe. Engel is going to stay down in the 16th position currently. Here's the 51 of Dylan Goodwin. On his first of 2 laps. Coming down across the stripe, and Goodwin is going to jump up into the 8th position on his first lap. See if he's able to improve on his second lap here. Down into turn number 3, trying to get down as close to that blue line as possible without going over it. Jackson Lomax just went 4th quickest on the chart. Let's see where Goodwin files in here as he crosses the stripe, takes a checkered flag. And he is not going to be able to improve his time. So he's going to stay down in the 10th position. Here's your third in points, Adam Gardner, coming off of turn number 2 on his second lap. Down in turn 3, trying to get right down on that blue line. Taking the shortest way around the track, up through the quad oval and across the line. And Adam Gardner's going to go P2. Just 1/100th of a second off of Jonathan Jennings. Here's the 28 of Bobby Goodwin. Just came across the stripe to take the green flag with 44 seconds left in qualifying. He'll be able to finish his qualifying lap. Down through turns 3 and 4. And over to the stripe. And Bobby Goodwin is going to jump up into the 6th position. As we have 10 seconds left in qualifying, we see the infamous Scooby Snacks there in the chat. That's going to do it for qualifying here as the drivers get set and ready to get underway here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Of course, before we get to our starting grid, we want to thank everybody for joining us here tonight. Whether you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Twitch, we do appreciate you joining us here tonight. Don't forget to hit that like button, follow, and subscribe. Hit that little notification bell so you know anytime we go live here on Intensity Broadcasting. Of course, we want to thank our great partners. Of course, you can check out all the news, notes, and information on the Doghouse Racing League by visiting the link below down at doghouseracingle.com. Of course, we also want to thank our great partner, Race EPI, for all their iRacing setups and coaching needs. Visit raceepi.com. Check out our website and support the channel by visiting intensitybroadcasting.com for hats, t-shirts, coffee mugs. We also got Atlee Atman Weese's racing gear there as well. So you can check all that out over there at intensitybroadcasting.com. And of course, we want to thank our great partner over at Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker is an established and trusted leader in gaming haptics. The award-winning line of Butt Kicker products lets users feel low-frequency sounds. Their products are used and endorsed around the world by leading PC and console gamers, including professional sim racers. Their patented design makes them incredibly accurate, powerful, and virtually indestructible. The Gamer Plus is a new and upgraded sim racing haptic that reproduces immersive, accurate, and powerful sim racing, flight sim, and gaming effects. Check out the full line of Butt Kicker products and figure out what's right for you. Visit thebuttkicker.com as we take a look at our starting grid. And on pole tonight is the 91 of Jonathan Jennings. Adam Gardner will roll off from the 2nd position. Mike Leftwich rolls off 3rd with Chris Leftwich in the 4th spot, and then round out your top 5 will be Jackson Lomax. Bobby Goodwin rolls off from 6th. Steve Gerber and Kevin Powell will make up row number 4 with Gary Amio and Chris Berger back in row 5. Row 6 will find the 23 of Chris Schaefer and the 12 of Dylan Goodwin. Michael Dow will roll off from the 13th position with Daniel Wilkerson back in the 14th position. Chris Simon and Ricky Hudge will make up row 8 with Mark Dumont and Gary Clune back in row 9. Richard Leclerc and Ricky Williams will round out your 10th row here tonight. Eddie Rivers rolls off from the 21st position. Bel Gentry back in 22nd. Jeffrey Engel and Kevin Brown back in row number 12. And then rounding out the field, 25th, Chuck Cobb, Leander Johnson back in 26th, and Andrew St. Cor back in the 27th position. As the field makes their way through turns 3 and 4, lights on the pace car out. We're getting ready to go green flag racing. That pace car is getting ready to take that hard left-hand turn down on the pit road. See a little bit of hanging back through for a couple of the drivers throughout the field as the pace car comes down on the pit road. Green flag is in the air, and we are racing here at Charlotte. Immediately you see Jonathan Jennings get that run down into turn number 1, down on the low side. Here comes Mike Leftwich taking a look down underneath Adam Gardner as the field makes their way through turns 1 and 2 for the first time, and off the corner. Adam Gardner is able to sneak out in front of Mike Leftwich to hold on to that second position, as Mike and Chris Leftwich now battle side by side with Jackson Lomax right behind in the 96. We see Steve Gerber right here in the mix as well as they come across the stripe for the first time. And Chris Leftwich able to move out in front and put himself up into the 3rd position solidly. Field already starting to get a little more single file as they make their way through turns 1 and 2 for the second time. We'll battle a little further back as we see Chris Schaefer down on the low side, working his way around Chris Berger, and move Schaefer up into the top 10. We see Goodwin, that's Bobby Goodwin, down on the low side, trying to make his move around the 93 of Kevin Powell. Gary Amio right there as well. And there you see Schaefer again, working his way through the field. Early already picked off a couple drivers as we see Bobby Goodwin struggling a little bit. Already lost 3 spots since the green flag. Back up front, Adam Gardner and Chris Leftwich nose to tail with Jonathan Jennings as they come across the stripe. These 3 drivers are on rails right now as they've already pulled away from Mike Leftwich by about a second. As Adam Gardner is going to take a peek down to the inside of Jennings, down into turn number 3. And Gardner is going to slide right around the 91 to put himself up into the lead. That'll be a bonus point for Adam Gardner for leading a lap here as Jonathan Jennings tries to fight back on the high side, but he's going to tuck back in line as they make their way through turns 1 and 2. A little further back, we see the 36 of Chris Berger right there on the back bumper of Dylan Goodwin. Thought he was going to try to peek out and make a move there, but just was not close enough to make that happen. Christopher Simon right there behind as well. A little further back, we see a battle back here. We see the 78 Daniel Wilkerson down to the inside of Ricky Hudges. And Wilkerson's going to gain a position here up into the 16th position. As Chris Schaefer now taking a move around Bobby Goodwin. Goodwin has a little connection issue there. But Schaefer down to the inside. He's going to complete this pass as they come off of turn number 4. And as I say that, here comes Bobby Goodwin fighting back on the high side. And right behind, we see another battle back here between Christopher Simon and Dylan Goodwin. Michael Dow, Mark Dumont, all in the mix here as well. So great battles all over the racetrack. As you see Schaefer still struggling to get by. The 28 of Goodwin now is finally clear that machine as he makes his way down into turn number 1. Back up front, your three leaders are still nose to tail with Adam Gardner up in the lead. Jonathan Jennings running back in second, Chris Leftwich in third, and then it's 0.8 of a second back to fourth place Mike Leftwich with Jackson Lomax right behind. They're trying to work their way back up towards the front as well. See the 55 of Ricky Hudges struggling a little bit right now. Has been falling back a little bit. Fallen back into the 16th position. As we see, Michael Dowds just made his way around. Mark Dumont in the 114, one of our biggest movers of the race, already up 4 spots, up in the 13th, trying to get closer to the top 10, as Adam Gardner now has Jonathan Jennings right back there on the back bumper. So Jennings taking a look down to the inside. As Jonathan Jennings able to get around Adam Gardner, and it looks like Chris Leftwich is also going to be able to move around that 56 as well, as Gardner's still battling side by side. Now Leftwich is going to look up to the high side to see if he can find anything up there. A little further back, we see Chris Berger moving his way around Gary Armillo. And the 51 of Dylan Goodwin trying to move himself forward as well. If we take a look at that 36 machine, I believe I see a little bit of damage to the right side of that truck. We'll take a look again as he comes off of turn number 2 and down the backstretch. See if we can see a good view of the right side of that machine. Well, I take it back. Doesn't look like he's actually been up into the wall, so it could have just been a little view there. As we have some 3-wide racing. Michael Dow was just the man in the middle. See the 117 of Richard Leclerc just got a little out of shape there as well. Daniel Wilkerson back here in the mix. We see the 11 of Gary Clune as well. This pack is racing wheel to wheel, door to door, down through the front stretch and down into turns 1 and 2. So Gary Armillo still up on that high side, losing another position. Christopher Simon, he's going to fall back into the 14th position. We have more 3-wide racing behind. Daniel Wilkerson, Gary Clune, and that's the 114 of Mark Dumont. We're just all 3-wide. Dumont making it work up there on that high side. As he tries to get back around Daniel Wilkerson here. Armillo gets really loose. He's going to come down into Wilkerson. Wilkerson able to get back up on the track. They're still 3-wide as they come down into turns 3 and 4. And almost thought about being 4-wide as they came through the quad oval. Oh, some contact there. The 33 of Brown gets hit. Caution is out. Chuck Cobb. Oh, one driver. That's Gary Clune flipping. Wilkerson caught up in that as well. It's going to bring out our first wreckage rewind of the night. So he saw all the checking up a little bit in front of the this group here. And we see the 81 of Chuck Cobb is forced almost 4-wide here. And he comes up just a little bit. And, that looked like a racing incident. Just 2 drivers fighting for the same piece of real estate. See the front clip fly off of the 81. That is the 15 of Eddie Rivers involved in that as well. And then while that's been going on, there was another incident completely unrelated with Daniel Wilkerson up here, as we saw Gary Clune. And they were all just 3 wide just a moment ago. We're taking a look here to see what happened to Wilkerson. It looks like the 11 just kind of came down into the 78. And that's where we saw the 11 get airborne off the front bumper of Daniel Wilkerson. And the 11 just goes flipping down to the infield. Massive wreck. As he got hit again. And, man, a tough break for Gary Clune. Let's watch this in full speed and see if we can see if it was just a misjudgment or what happened there. But, man, that 11 machine went for an absolute ride right there. And that... and then went off the front bumper of, I believe that was Jeffrey Engel in the 14 machine. Let's see if we can see if that 14 machine has any damage on it. And well, it's tough to say from this view, as we know we did see him take a windshield full of the 11 truck, and looks like it might just hit the roof there and bounced off, so no damage to the 14. So new leader out here, the 117 of Richard Leclerc. Jackson Lomax is going to sit back in second. Richard Leclerc stayed out. He did not pit. And then Jackson Lomax came down and took right side tires only. Jonathan Jennings, the first driver, with 4 tires, back in third. Adam Gardner in fifth. And then Dylan Goodwin, also gambling with 2 tires here, put himself in the 5th position. So a mixture of tire calls out there. A few drivers running with just 2. A couple drivers going with 4. And 1 driver staying out there with no tires. Let's see if we can take a look at the pit information here. See if we can see the time spent on pit road. And there you have it. Lomax 7.8, Jennings 15.0, Gardner 15.1, and there's your mixed bag of pit stops there. So that's really going to be the deciding factor here on where these drivers gain their positions. And the most positions gained by Richard Leclerc with staying out on the racetrack. In the chat, we see... it's Lindsay Vixen, that is Engel's wife there, saying let's go 14. It's Charlotte baby. And then Catalina Salas says let's go my love Chris Simon, we're proud of you. So a couple cheers there in the chat. And if you're watching at home and you've got a driver you want to cheer on, feel free, drop a link or drop it down in the chat. We'll throw the shout outs here on the broadcast as the lights are off on the pace car. We get ready to re-rack them, restock them, and get ready to go green flag racing. So Richard Leclerc is going to take the inside lane here, putting Jackson Lomax up on the high side. It looks like we do have a couple retirements from the race. The 81 of Chuck Cobb still on pit road. Daniel Wilkerson on pit road. Gary Clune also on pit road. I think Eddie Rivers is still on pit road as well. Actually, it looks like Eddie Rivers is back on the racetrack. There you go, another shout out here on the Twitch chat. Bad 67355 says, let's go Big Lee in the 32. So here we go. Pace car getting ready to dip back down on the pit road. Richard Leclerc is going to lead him back down to the Toyota restart zone. Green flag is back in the air, and we are racing here at Charlotte. Richard Leclerc able to get out in front. Even though he's got no tires, he stayed out on the last restart. Let's see if Jonathan Jennings can take advantage of those 4 fresh tires, as he's already moved himself up into the second position around Lomax. And you see the 117 of Leclerc just a sit and duck as they make their way down into turns 3 and 4. Jennings trying to use that high side in those fresh tires to move himself back out in front. Chris Leftwich and Adam Gardner trying to follow suit. So they're going to work to the outside of Leclerc. And, you know, it's a good call for Leclerc right now if it works out for him, because he's just gained a ton of track position. He's back up towards the front. And if he can stay up here for maybe 10 or 15 laps, he might be able to catch a caution and get back on the same strategy as our leaders. See Jeffrey Engel down on pit road. Looks like he's getting tires. He's going to go a lap down as the field comes by. Now Chris Leftwich on the back bumper of Jonathan Jennings. Trying to run him down for that top spot. Leftwich looked up to the high side, wasn't able to get a run there. He tucks right in on the back bumper of Jennings. Now he's going to look up to the high side here, see if he can get the run off of turn number 2. Dives back down to the low side. What a great setup there down into turn at number 3. And Chris Leftwich is going to take over the lead. And this is something we've seen in the first run as well. Jonathan Jennings' truck does not fire off as quickly as Chris Leftwich and Adam Gardner. It could be that he's just saving his stuff for a little bit later on in the run, because he seems to gain everything that he loses back after about 15 or 20 laps. We had a shout out there for Leander Johnson in the 32. Running that Nickelodeon, that's a, you know, I'm a sucker for a good paint job, and that is a sweet looking Nickelodeon paint job right there. It takes me back to my childhood there with the Rugrats, Hey Arnold, Cat Dog. I'm digging it. Leander currently running in the 15th position, up 11 spots from where he started, and trying to battle with Dylan Goodwin and Christopher Simon here. As we are working lap number 26 of 74. Christopher Simon still trying to get around the 51 of Dylan Goodwin, and I believe he's going to clear him here down into turn number 1. Yes, he will. That's going to allow Leander Johnson to try to make a move down underneath. So Johnson trying to move himself up into the 14th position, solidly in the 15th, top 15 right now. And here he goes, getting one more as he sets his sights on Christopher Simon. As they make their way around the 11 of Gary Clune, who had that wild, vicious wreck, and he is still out on the racetrack, turning some laps. A couple drivers have retired from the race here tonight. Looks like Adam St. Cor. I see Eddie Rivers is out. See Dan Wilkinson still in the pit. St. Cor is out. Chuck Cobb still in the pits right now, getting some repairs done. So only 2 drivers who have officially retired from the race. As Johnson's now getting passed on the low side by a couple drivers who took 4 tires. A little further up in the pack, we see the 23 of Chris Schaefer trying to work down to the inside of Ricky Hudges, and he's going to take that position. So move Schaefer up into the 6th position. And we'll go back to this absolute gaggle of trucks back here. As we take a look here from the iRacing blimp. That's the beautiful thing about Charlotte is you can run so many different lines and be successful. You see drivers right there on the blue line, a couple drivers right up against the wall, some drivers running that seam in the middle of the track. And the 117 of Richard Leclerc now down on pit road, just got his service done. He is back down and away for a tire stop for the 117. That's going to put him at least one lap down, unfortunately. But he's trying to strategy, get himself up to the front, and I commend him for that. But fortunately, the strategy just not working out in his favor as we see Jonathan Jennings right back on the back bumper of Chris Leftwich. Leftwich running that high lane. Jennings going to be forced to run down on the bottom as they're now side by side for the lead off of turn number 2. Jonathan Jennings going to slide back into the lead. As Leftwich is going to try to run a little bit of a crossover there, but just was not able to make that happen. Now Adam Gardner trying to take over that 2nd spot. And Gardner is going to slide up into the runner-up position. And he's going to try to run down Jonathan Jennings. Now, I have a feeling that as I see the 11 machine of Gary Clune working down to the inside, letting the leaders right on by. I'm going to guess that the fuel run is going to be somewheres around 30 laps or so. So these drivers will have to come back down pit road one more time. I expect them to try to split this last segment in half. And we'll probably see drivers coming down pit road between 40 and 45 would be my guess. So about 5 to 10 laps from now will be the window opening up for these drivers to make their way down for their final pit stop as we see Steve Gerber working around Chris Leftwich and trying to take over that 3rd position. See Leftwich trying to use a little side draft there to keep that 8 truck beside him, and now he's going to try to work another crossover here, but it looks like Gerber just has too strong of a run off the corner. And that's going to solidly move Steve Gerber up into the 3rd spot. And Ricky Hudges and Chris Schaefer are still battling back here. They've been nose to tail for the last few laps as Hudges is trying to find a way around Schaefer. He's going to look up to the high side this time. Almost trying to give a little bump here to the 23 to try to loosen him up to get him around him. 93, Kevin Powell, kind of been quiet tonight. I haven't really talked too much about him. Running solidly in the top 5. Up 3 spots from where he started, up in the 5th. And just showing that consistency that he's had all season long. One of only 4 drivers who have a win this season. And now Hudges working down to the inside, was just working down to the inside of Schaefer, but was not able to get the run to complete the pass. This time, though, he's able to get right along side by side. And you saw the side draft being used right there. Oh, he gets turned. That looked like total net code there as those two drivers are up in the wall. No caution as both drivers are able to continue on. And now the caution comes out. And that's going to bring up another wreckage rewind. And man, I'll tell you what, that just looked like total net code, or what we call net code here, as we'll try to see if we can find exactly where that happened, because you saw there seemed to be quite a bit of room between those drivers. We'll roll the footage back, and you'll see as they come through the corner here, you see almost a foot of room between those two drivers before they get together, and that's just what you call netcode, unfortunately. And for those who aren't familiar with what that means, these drivers are on different sides of the country. It does take information, time to get from one side of the country back here to Massachusetts to the other side of the country. So sometimes the sim just has to kind of predict where the trucks are on the racetrack. And unfortunately, you get incidents like that where it predicts wrong, thinking that those trucks are a little closer than they are. So it's unfortunate, but it's just a part of racing online. So we do see a bunch of drivers making their way down on pit road. Thank you for the love of the Wreckage Rewind clips. We try to switch them up here and there, and it's the one I picked tonight. I've got quite a few of them. 3 drivers staying out on the racetrack. Chris Leftwich, Kevin Powell, Ricky Williams all staying out. Richard Clure also staying out as he was just on pit road just a few laps ago. Jonathan Jennings going to win that race off pit road. We see Adam Gardner coming off in second, and Steve Gerber off third. Mike Leftwich coming off in fourth. Michael Dow, Bobby Goodwin, Leander Johnson going to be your top 10. So a bit of a gutsy call here for Chris Leftwich, staying out on the racetrack. Sounds like he may be hoping for another caution here. As I believe this time by the lights will be shutting off on the pace car. Oh, we're going to go at least one more lap here behind the safety vehicle. And don't forget to join us right after this one at 9:30 as the SCSRA Truck Series will be taking on Dover International Raceway. So more truck racing here tonight in our Tuesday night truck doubleheader. Second race from the Monster Mile. You're not going to want to miss that one. A tight points battle shaping up there in both the Dev Sports Cards Dev Sports Cards Next Gen Series and the Morris Customs Truck Series. So don't forget to tune in for that. But of course, don't forget that after tonight, we only have 3 races left here in the Doghouse Racing League to crown a champion. Now we'll take a look again at those points coming into tonight. And we see Jonathan Jennings is currently up at the top of the leaderboard with a commanding lead over Justin McMahon and Adam Gardner. Again, Kevin Powell, the only other driver with a win. So really just one driver been dominating the entire season as Kevin Powell now makes his way down on the pit road. So it looks like Kevin Powell realized that he's going to have to come down pit road. So now the lights on the pace car are off. We're going to re-rack them, restack them, and get ready to refire them one more time. Well, here, Chris Leftwich shutting the truck off, trying to save a little bit of fuel. So I think he's trying to gamble here to get himself a win. But I think it's going to be all for naught with the drivers behind him on fresh tires and much fresher tires. Jonathan Jennings has 23 lap newer tires. And that's a lifetime at tires, especially here at a track like Charlotte. Leander Johnson up into the 7th position, gaining 19 positions from the start. So we'll have to see where that 32 winds up here in the mix at the end of this one. But here we go. Field is making their way off of turn number 4. Pace car taking that hard left-hand turn down onto pit road. And Chris Leftwich is going to lead them back down to the Toyota restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. We are back to racing, and a big jump for Chris Leftwich as they make their way down towards turn number 1. A lot of two wide racing behind as the field makes their way off of turn number 2, and Adam Gardner able to sneak around Jonathan Jennings on the restart as we have 30 laps to go when they cross the line. You see those newer tires are no match for the 13 of Chris Leftwich, who's going to lose a ton of time here by staying out under that last caution, as Jennings is able to easily pass the 13 machine. And then there's this gaggle of trucks back here. You see the 27 of Christopher Simon, Bobby Goodwin and Dylan Goodwin racing side by side right behind. We see the 50, I'm sorry, that's the 51 Dylan Goodwin and Jackson Lomax racing side by side. That was Chris Berger and Bobby Goodwin side by side right in front. And then you see the 50 of Michael Dow, Mike Leftwich in the mix here as well. So all these drivers having a great run, and a lot of blue trucks right there in this mix. It's hard to tell them all apart as the 50 of Michael Dow trying to make a move down underneath Christopher Simon. Gets a little tight, almost pushes up into the 27, loses the nose right behind the 60 of Mike Leftwich. You see the 28 of Bobby Goodwin get really loose there through the quad oval as well. So these trucks are not handling very well as they're making their way through that quad oval. And not sure what really happened to Leander Johnson here, but he's fallen back a little bit on this restart. I don't know if he got a little loose or got a little help there on the restart, but he's fallen all the way back into the 15th position. And Chris Leftwich right now in some trouble as he is continuing to fall backwards. Restarted on the front row, and he has been falling back like a rock. Currently back in the 9th position. And he's got Michael Dow and Michael Leftwich both on fresh tires trying to move their way around the 13 machine as well. Dylan Goodwin in the 51. He's going to work his way around the outside of Bobby Goodwin, move himself up in the 7th. He's going to set his sights on the 8 of Steve Gerber. And Jonathan Jennings getting ready to come down off of turn number 4 and across the stripe to bring us to 25 laps to go. Adam Gardner with a little challenge here from the 36 of Chris Berger. And the 96 of Jackson Lomax right here as well. As Gardner been up into the wall. Doesn't look like there's any damage to the right side of that truck, but he is falling back right now. And the same with Jonathan Jennings. So I think both these drivers might be close on fuel, and they're trying to save a little bit of fuel here, while drivers like Christopher Simon, Chris Berger, Jackson Lomax are just putting pedal to the metal. Let's ride along here. Yeah, we hear these drivers running a little bit of, a little less throttle and quite a bit slower times as well. Last time by, Jennings ran a 31:47. His best time was a 30:28. So these drivers have slowed down significantly in this final run. And again, I just think they're trying to save fuel to make it to the end. But out in front is the 36 of Chris Berger. Started in the 9th position, now finds himself out in the lead. Nashville, Tennessee native. Comes across the stripe. A little bit of damage to the right side of that truck, but doesn't look to be slowing him down, as he is now the leader with just 21 laps to go. See Jackson Lomax and Dylan Goodwin battling out for the final podium spots. But do they have enough fuel to make it to the end? As Adam Gardner now looking up to the high side of Jonathan Jennings. And Jennings getting slowed down a little bit there by the 27 of Christopher Simon. That allows Adam Gardner to make his way right around and into the lead. Chris Simon runs up in the 4th position. Now he's got Adam Gardner taking a look down to the inside. Going to move the 27 back into the 5th position. As it's almost like Gardner's turned on the afterburners as he's making his way back up through the field. Coming to the back bumper of the 51 of Dylan Goodwin. Looks like Gardner's going to click another spot off here as Jonathan Jennings trying to take a look down to the inside of Christopher Simon. As Catalina gives more cheers for Christopher Simon as Simon slides back into the 6th position, although he's fighting back hard on the high side of Jonathan Jennings. So right now these two drivers really battling out for that top 5 position as Jennings now going to clear the 27. He's going to work to the inside of the 51 of Dylan Goodwin. Adam Gardner, though, pulling away from Jennings as he's racing side by side. And Christopher Simon going to get around Dylan Goodwin, move himself back up into the top 5. So Simon having a great run up 10 positions up into 5th. Battle for the lead coming up as Jackson Lomax now trying to take a look down to the inside of Chris Berger. And Dylan Goodwin, the 51, now making his way down onto pit road. So exactly what I thought was going to happen. These drivers up front here burning more fuel, running faster laps, and I don't believe they're going to have enough fuel to make it to the end, where Adam Gardner and Jonathan Jennings were saving a little bit of fuel on that first run. And now Jackson Lomax comes across the stripe to lead with just 15 laps to go. And looking at the sponsorship on these two trucks, I believe these two are teammates running almost identical paint jobs with a little bit different color scheme. You see the blue front end with the red back end and white stripes, and then Lomax running the blue front end with the white back end and red stripes. So complete backwards of those two trucks. Great looking trucks too, and With just 14 laps to go, do they have enough fuel in the tank, as Jonathan Jennings is right there on the back bumper of Adam Gardner, trying to retake the second position, or what could be the win with just a few laps to go. That's Catalina's son of, or sorry, Christopher Simon's her son. So happy, proud mom sitting at home watching the race. Simon's now currently still in the 5th position, but Adam Gardner is going to fall back to 4th. Simon having a fantastic run currently, which could be a podium position if Lomax and Chris Berger have to make their way down onto pit road. "12 laps is the distance to complete this race." Jackson Lomax has almost a 1-second lead over his teammate Chris Berger. They're still pulling away from Jonathan Jennings. They are running quite a bit faster than Jennings that lap. Last time by, Jackson Lomax ran a 31.7. Chris Berger ran a 31.9, and Jonathan Jennings ran a 30.2. So quite a bit of difference in speed between our top 3 drivers, and Michael Dow and Steve Gerber has now run down this group as well. And they're going to try to battle up here for a podium position. Now, have they been saving fuel, or have they just been marching their way back up to the front here as well? Jennings has Adam Gardner taking a look down to the inside. They are side by side off of turn number 4. And Adam Gardner going to sneak back out in front of the 91 with just 10 laps to go. And I think these 3 drivers here, the 56, the 91, the 27, are conserving fuel, even though they're racing pretty hard. We know Adam Gardner is the master of saving fuel. He's stole a couple races so far on fuel mileage. Will this be another one? As he comes down across the line with just 9 laps to go. Still with Jonathan Jennings right there on the back bumper. Back up front, though, Jackson Lomax still with a 3/4 of a second lead over his teammate Chris Berger. Last time by, he ran a 32.4, so he's really slowed down his pace in the last few laps, which tells me that he's probably really close on fuel. Same with Chris Berger. So Chris Berger's actually gained a 1/4 of a second there on Jackson. You see the distance on the racetrack as now Berger is starting to put down some laps and catch the 96 machine. But they're still 2.5 seconds out in front of Adam Gardner as they cross the stripe with just 7 laps to go. This is the view from Adam Gardner and Jonathan Jennings up to our 2 leaders. We'll see when the leaders come into view from the iRacing blimp. See, they just coming across the stripe now down into turns 1 and 2, and we'll be able to see those 3rd and 4th. Yeah, they just barely came in the frame for a moment there. See them side by side as Chris Simon has the 50 of Michael Dow working to the outside. I think, I'm sorry, that's the, that's the 51s of Dylan Goodwin making his way around the 27. So that was not for position. Goodwin was just on pit road and he had to pit for tires and fuel. So that 51 is not in the battle here. You'll see just the difference that new tires will do as the 51's trying to rocket his way around the outside of Jonathan Jennings and Adam Gardner. But back up front, just 5 laps to go. The interval from Jackson Lomax back to Adam Gardner is 3.1 seconds. So how much fuel is left in the tank of the 96 and the 36? Both drivers looking for their first Tuesday Night Truck Series win. Trying to be our 5th different winner of the season. With 3 laps to go now, Jackson Lomax still out in front, but his teammate Chris Berger has closed the gap. Now just 0.4 of a second separate our top 2. Another driver hit pit road. That's Gary Amio. Just not enough fuel in the tank to make it to the end as we see Lomax and Berger both coming down to pit road. That's going to give the lead of the race to Adam Gardner with just 2 laps to go. Now, can Gardner hold off Jonathan Jennings and get the win here tonight? Off of turn number 2, Adam Gardner trying to run 2 perfect laps. We see Chris Leftwich right behind as well. Chris was down on pit road recently. He's on fresh tires. He is not part of this race. As Adam Gardner comes off of turn number 4, white flag is in the air. 1 lap to go for the 56 of Gardner. Trying to run a little bit of a defensive line, running the lower lane. Trying to do everything he can to keep that 91 behind him. You see him throw a block down the backstretch. That opens up the high side, though, for Jonathan Jennings as they come down into turn number 3. Is Gardner's out of fuel. Gardner is out of fuel. Jonathan Jennings now going to come off of turn number 4. And Jennings is out of fuel. Jennings is out of fuel as they come across the line. Jonathan Jennings is going to get the win, just clutching it. Steve Gerber is going to come home in second. Kevin Powell brings it home in third. Christopher Simon back in fourth, and Adam Gardner rolls home in fifth. But man, what a wild turn of events. Right there at the line as you see your winner here out of fuel. And he's going to park it there, right there at the exit of turn 2. Not going to be able to blow any donuts here tonight. Man, what a finish. I knew fuel was close. I didn't realize it was that close as Jonathan Jennings coasts across the line and gets the win. Let's take a look at the results. Oh, looks like we still have a couple trucks coasting their way around the racetrack, trying to get finished up here, so it's not letting me show my results just yet. Still waiting for my race results to pop up here. But, yeah, Jonathan Jennings getting the win. Steve Gerber brings it home in second. Kevin Powell, your third-place finisher. Christopher Simon comes home fourth, and Adam Gardner coasts across the finish line in fifth. Michael Dow brings it home sixth. Bill Gentry up 15 positions up into seventh. Ricky Williams eighth. Mike Leftwich and Bobby Goodwin round out your top 10. And, again, I apologize for the standings not showing up on the screen. There they are. 11th was Kevin Brown. Dylan Goodwin brings it home in 12th. Chris Leftwich, Chris Schaefer, and Leander Johnson, your top 15. Ricky Hudges in 16th. Chris Berger in 17th. Jackson Lomax back in 18th. 19th was Richard Leclerc and Gary Ramillo back in 20th. 21st, Jeffrey Engel. 22nd, Mark Dumont. 23rd, Gary Clune, Daniel Wilkerson. 24th, Eddie Rivers, Chuck Cobb, and Andrew St. Cyr round out the field here tonight at Charlotte as we get ready to talk to our top 3 drivers. Starting with your third place finisher, Kevin Powell. Kevin, you got Josh up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, Josh, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing well. What a crazy finish there at the end. Your top 2 running out of fuel, and you able to sneak onto the podium here tonight. First off, talk about your race and what was your strategy there in that last run to get you onto the podium?
Well, in the last run, if you noticed, I stayed out, and I was debating on, pit and doing the same strategy Leftwich did, and then I got to looking how close it was going to be in fuel, so I went ahead and took the EOL and pitted on my last lap, and started in the back, and I was saving, so I stayed around one to the good. And with 5 laps to go, I just let it loose and started picking them off left and right. And then coming to the checker flag, there was a car that come out of the pits, and he entered turn 3 low. So I go high, but he slides all the way up into the corner, and Gerber seen it because Gerber knew I was gonna have to get on the brakes. So Gerber full send into 2, and he got me for second. So a little frustrating, but I'm happy with a podium finish.
Yeah, for sure. Great points night for you here tonight. I know currently sitting back 4th in points, and Just McMahon not able to show up here tonight. But big picture, that's got to be helpful for you getting on the podium and knowing that guy in front of you is not able to make the race. But we got a couple races left here. 5 Flags. I'm sorry, next week at Gateway, and then 5 Flags in Daytona. How do you like your chances on the 3 races coming up?
Um, Gateway, I've never raced there in the truck, so I've raced there once in the cars and in the next gens in Doghouse. I finished well, I was running in the top 3 and then I got called into work, so I had to pit. I think I was running second when I pitted. So we'll see. I like Gateway. It's a lot. It reminds me a lot of Darlington, a little bit, and I usually run good there. 5 Flags, that's one of my favorite tracks. But it's short track, so it's all about survival at that point. So hopefully we can get some good finishes, some good podiums, maybe a couple wins, and you know finish top 3 for the season.
For sure. And again, great race here tonight coming home on the podium. Before we let you go, though, anyone you want to thank, any shots you got to give here tonight?
Yeah, I want to shout out you guys for the broadcast each and every week. Shawnee's next level, everybody coming on to help us, and shout out the admins, um, the whole Doghouse League. I mean, I think we do a fantastic job with um with running this league, and all the drivers in it are very competitive. Shout out to my teammates, my brother Jonathan for getting the win tonight. That was amazing.
Awesome, man. Well, again, congrats on the podium here tonight, and good luck the rest of the season out.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Have a
Have,
good night. Have a
have a
good
great
night.
night. Yeah, you too. Have a great night. So that was your third place finisher, Kevin Powell. Let's talk to your second place finisher, Steve Gerber. Steve, you got Josh up in the booth. You got me?
Hey, Josh, how's it going tonight?
Man, it's going well. Congrats on the runner-up position. I know you kind of lucked into it a little bit there with a couple of drivers running out of fuel. And from what Kevin Powell said, a truck came across the track right in front of you guys, and you're able to take advantage of that. But
Yep.
talk about that last part of the race there, because everybody seemed to be saving a lot of fuel. There was other drivers on different strategies, and how were you able to save enough fuel to still have the speed there at the end?
I didn't have any speed until back stretch. At the last lap is when I just basically got back in it. But no, I was saving just like everybody else up front. Just some guys were able to save a little bit more. But I mean, just running around the track almost 3/4, and letting off super early, and it's just trying to roll the corner. It was crazy. I don't think anybody likes to race that way. That's for sure. But I mean, I was good. I mean, I was up. I was top. What was I? Top 7 at least. Top 5. Top 4. I was all right. I think the cautions did not fall at good times. I mean, the first one was way too early, you know, and then obviously the second one just a little bit too early to really make a fun race, unfortunately. But I think it's the first caution that really killed it because you just had no choice but to go get tires, even though you knew that was, you know, it was probably not going to work out that great. But it is what it is. It's sometimes it happens that way, and I don't know. I just was convinced I was going to be able to save enough fuel, and I just saved enough every single lap. You know, I mean, I don't know, 3 laps short, I think, when we started that run. So,
Well, you completely stole my next question away, talking about how the cautions fell. So, thanks for that. No, but
well, I'm
no,
trying to speed this up because it sounds like Powell talked too long. So,
it's all right. Well, man, again, great job here tonight, coming home in second. Before I let you go, I want to thank any shots you got to give here tonight, Steve.
hey, shout out to my wife for putting up with this silly stuff, and shout out to my painter, my best friend there, who helps me paint my truck. Even though it's a pretty simple truck, we like it. So appreciate that very much, and appreciate you guys too, and Daniel for running the league, and Kevin and the other guys. So appreciate it very much.
It is definitely a very sweet looking truck, and even though it's simple, it's got that old Dale Jr. vibes to it, and I like it. So again,
Thanks, man. Yeah,
again,
it's a local brewery, and I love having it on my truck, so it's fun.
nice. That's good to know. Well, again, congrats on the podium. Hopefully we'll talk to you again soon before the end of the season.
Appreciate it, Josh. Thanks.
Have a great night.
You too.
So that was your second place finisher, Steve Gerber. Let's bring in your winner here tonight. His 8th win of the season, Jonathan Jennings. Jonathan, you got Josh up in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Man, what a run here tonight. Kind of a tale of two races. It seemed like your truck didn't fire off too well when the green flag came out on both runs after the yellows there. And then they had to save fuel there at the end, and you ran out coming off of turn 4. That's what it looked like. Was that about where it started to sputter?
Oh no, I ran out going into 3. I just had to coast.
I know Gerber ran out on the backstretch, so that was just a wild finish there. Did you know it was going to be that close, or did you just see those guys up front kind of running away from it, and you figured you had to kind of turn it on because you didn't know if they were going to pit or not?
No, I knew I had to stay close to Adam because I know he's good at saving fuel, obviously. But we were pretty much after that last yellow, we had to save the entire time. So that's why we dropped back and, trying to get a pull and clutching, saving where we could, and trying to race at the same time. It's aggravating.
Yeah, I was going to say, how frustrating is it the way that the cautions fell? That both of them just kind of fell at the very wrong time, and made for an interesting race there at the end, though.
Yeah, yeah, it sucks. They fell where they did because I think about 20 laps in each run, and it's about the time the tires really started to show who took care of the tires and whatnot. And man, if it would have waited a lap, it would have been a lot better.
Yeah, the first caution came out on lap 17. The second caution came out on lap 40. So, yeah, just a tough break for you for both. But hey, getting your 8th win of the season, just dominating fashion here tonight. We got 3 more tracks to go. Worldwide Raceway, 5 Flags in Daytona. How do you like your chances at those 3 races there at the end?
Gateway, I'm not sure. I've only raced there once, I think, in the next gen car, but I think I'll be all right there. I really want 5 Flags, and Daytona. That's a throw up in the air on that one.
Well, pretty much running away from the season as it is. Just have to kind of finish the races here to lock in your championship here this season. But man, another great win for you here tonight. Before we let you go, anyone want to thank? Any shots you got to give?
I mean, you guys for broadcasting it, Daniel and all the admins for putting this stuff on week in and week out, and my teammates. Uh, right, this really helps a lot.
Awesome, man. Well, again, congrats on the win. You win one on fuel strategy this time, stealing one away from Gardner. That's got to kind of feel good. A little bit of payback there. And congratulations and good luck the rest of the season out.
I gotta show him I can do it too.
Exactly. Hey, man, have a great night, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you too.
So there you have it, Jonathan Jennings, your winner here, running out of fuel in turn 3 and making it back to the line to get the win here tonight. at Charlotte. Thanks for joining us here tonight, whether you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Twitch. We do appreciate you coming out and spending your Tuesday night with us. Don't forget to join us back here in about half hour time as the SCSRA Morris Customs Truck Series will be taking on the Monster Mile in Dover. It's going to be an exciting race. You're not going to want to miss that. So for everybody here at Intensity Broadcasting, again, thanks a lot for joining us. Don't forget to hit that like button, follow and subscribe, hit that little notification bell so you know anytime we go live here on Intensity Broadcasting. Don't forget to check out the links down below for the Doghouse Racing League's website for all your news, stats, and information on the Doghouse Racing League. Link down below in the description. Of course, our website, intensitybroadcasting.com, helps support the channel and Atlee Batman Weiss's racing career. We do appreciate you checking that out as well. Race EPI for all your iRacing setups and coaching needs. Visit raceepi.com. And of course, the butt kicker for all your for all your gaming haptic needs, check out thebuttkicker.com. That's going to do it for us here tonight in our first race of the doubleheader. Again, join us in just a little bit for that second race. And as our boy Atlee Batman Weiss would say,